All right, guys. Hope you're doing well. We're live. I think you should be able to. You can still comment and stuff. So yeah, if you can hear me, if you're watching, just comment, say hello. All right. Basically, the weather in England is absolutely red hot. So I thought, why not do a live stream while I'm walking? A walk and talk, which should be great. So, as always, if you are watching this live and you want to send in a question, then just send it in, pop it in the comments box on the right hand side if you're on a desktop. If you're on the phone, you should be able to pop it in there somewhere, just scrolling underneath or something like that. If you do want to be informed about these live chats, then please sign up on our website, www.deephealingspace.com/sign up. And again, as always, if you do like the video, please like and subscribe and share it around with your friends, because that's really the only way of getting the development program out to a large population, is if you guys get it out there. Alright, so in this video we're sort of moving on from yesterday's conversation about work and development, and yeah, we're going to talk about time management, which is a very important topic. I think the best way really to talk about time management is to split it up into two camps. So you've got time management when you're working a sort of full-time job, sort of a 9 to 5, and then you've got time management when you're working part-time or an entrepreneur. But yeah, when you are trying to heal, the thing is with the Nutritional Balancing Program, the development program, it takes up a lot of your time. There's no question about that, really. You can sort of speed things up a little bit, but you know, if you're doing back-to-back enemas, that's a good hour. If you're doing sauna, you know, that's another 20 minutes, half an hour. Then if you do extra pulling down exercise, then you got all the time that you're going to spend to cook your food, time resting, you know, the reflexology. It does take time, and you don't want to be rushing these things, because rushing these things will also slow down your healing, because you're sort of going into sympathetic dominance and all that sort of stuff, and that's obviously not healthy for the body. So throughout my time in healing, I definitely struggled with this, and I've had jobs where I've done full-time work, and I've had jobs where I've done part-time work, and I've been an entrepreneur. So let's talk about time management for full-time work. So the trick is really, let's say you're working a 9 to 5, the trick is really, you've got to get up early, you've got to get a good sleep. That is really the secret of managing the program while doing a full-time job. You've got to try and get to bed as early as possible, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you know what I mean, 10 o'clock latest, depending on what time you've got to go to work. So let's say you go to work at 9, you want to be getting up at 7, which means you want to be going to bed at what, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, you want to be going to bed 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock latest, but ideally 9 o'clock, and you get a good sleep in. That's really a big secret to healing in general, but definitely a big secret if you want to make sure you're healing whilst you're working full time, because when you're working full time, it takes a lot of energy from you. There's no question about that. It doesn't really matter what you do. There's always going to be energy expenditure involved, because that's just the nature of full-time work. And so when you're going to bed sort of after 9 o'clock, after 10 o'clock, basically the body's sympathetic nervous system gets switched on, and it will really affect you, and it will really affect you with your energy the day after, etc. So if you really want to do the program well and heal well while you do the full-time job, you really need to make sure that you've got your sleep situation sorted out. So when you're getting up at 7, you want to make sure you're doing a few procedures before you go to work. At least do a coffee enema. I generally find that coffee enemas don't take that long to do. If you need to speed things up a little bit, you could always do it for 10 minutes. You could always do it for 15 minutes if you need to. And a good idea is to sort of prepare your food the night before, or some people prepare the food for the week. You know, little techniques like chopping a load of vegetables up at some point, maybe when you get back from work, throwing them in a big container and putting them in the fridge. That's a really good way of speeding up the process when it comes to what you know, the stuff that you need to do when you get up in the morning. So when you get up in the morning, you can do an, you know, 7 o'clock, you could get an enema in there. You could probably get a sauna in there, but you might want to do that when you get back from work. You know, you can easily drink your water, a litre of water in the morning, and then cook your food, cook your breakfast. Now, what a lot of people struggle with is eating at work, and this is something I definitely struggled with. So here's some of the things that I used to do. The first thing I started doing was cooking my breakfast and lunch, obviously in the morning, and then I would put the cooked food in a sandwich box that was designed to keep the heat. Now, this does work. I mean, the good thing is when it got to lunchtime, the food was fairly well cooked, fairly hot still, quite warm, but it didn't really taste too well. You know, it stunk out the office depending on what I cooked, and yeah, it was a bit of a challenge doing it like that, but it served a purpose at the time. You know, it served a purpose at the time, and although it was not a nice way to really eat my food, I could manage to do it. The other thing you could do, if you've got the facilities to do it, is to take an electric steamer to work. And I always find electric steamers to be a good little tool to have in your sort of repertoire. The good thing about electric steamers is that as long as you can find a kitchen or a place to plug it in, you could take a box of your pre-cut vegetables that you've cooked, you know, the night before or the week, or you know, at the start of the week, and when you get to work, you can put them in the electric electric steamer and do it like that. That's another way. The thing now for me, I've got a camper van. Maybe you can see it in the background. Can you see it? Oh, I think it's there. That's my little van. But now I've got a camper van, and now if I was going to do full-time work, I'd just go out in my camper van at lunchtime and cook my food in there. Even if I had a car, I would probably take a stove, like a gas stove, and take a pressure cooker or something. I would just cook my food in my car, because I know how difficult it is really to make food at work, in the office or whatever. It is a challenge. A lot of people can complain about the smell, but one of them sort of 4 things usually I find suffices. I mean, if you can't do any of them, then you know, the other option, sort of the last option, I guess, would be sort of canned stuff. You know, canned sardines, canned vegetables, canned peas. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. You know, I used to work at one place, and I used to take canned peas in and pop it in a bowl. It didn't smell, and then put some olive oil on there, a bit of salt, and it wasn't the best food. It wasn't the perfect for the program, but it sufficed. And at the end of the day, at least I was getting some vegetables down my system. So if they let you out, sometimes they let you out. I could go out for an hour on one of my jobs. So there was a local sort of supermarket down the way, and they was cooking sort of fresh chicken and fresh turkey. So sometimes I would go down there and get something like that. That was pretty useful. Yeah, but I know it's a challenge when it comes to eating at work, but that would be my advice, definitely. And then when you get back from work, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you could do your sauna, could do your pushing down exercise while you're in the sauna, the reflexology, the twists, go for a walk, everything you need to do. So that would be my advice for sort of managing time when you're working full time. You've really got to up the game a lot. I think full-time work, especially in the beginning while you're healing, I think it's a challenge. I think it's much better to try and find part-time work, or something similar, try and do entrepreneurship, or some of the stuff I talked about in the previous video about being a delivery driver or something like that, just for the flexibility. Alright, so let's move on to part-time and sort of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to assume I'm just going to assume that the part-time work starts a little bit later on. Now, the good thing about part-time work and being an entrepreneur is that you can sleep in the morning, and that's a godsend really for when you're healing, because even if you're going for a good patch and you're sleeping okay with working a full-time job, what the program's like. Sometimes you will not have a good sleep, for whatever reason. You might go through a healing reaction, you might have some sort of trauma you're going through, and you might be awake till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to get up for work. And my advice in that situation is, if you do end up falling back to sleep, if you are really not sleeping, for like 4 or 5 hours or whatever, you're not sleeping till like 4 or 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. My personal experience in that is I end up skipping most of the stuff that I do in the morning, the coffee enemas or whatever, just so I can get my sleep, because I find sleep generally trumps a lot of stuff for me. If I don't get a good sleep, the rest of my day is pretty much not good. So if I'm up till really late in the morning because I haven't slept for whatever reason, I'll make sure I can squeeze as much hours as I possibly can before I have to get up. But the good thing about working part-time is that you can sleep. You can get up at 9, 10, 11 o'clock if you need to. Now, I found that the perfect thing for me is starting work at dinner time, or 11 a.m. or dinner time, or even 1 p.m. Because if you can somehow get yourself into that situation, it is definitely the best way to live and the best way to heal, from my experience. The reason is that you can sleep as long as you need to sleep, and I mostly wake up at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, no problem. And let's say I wake up at 9 or 10 o'clock, then I'll get up, I'll drink my water, I'll put on the sauna to heat up, I'll do my enemas, everything I can take time, I can cook my food for breakfast, and life becomes so much more easier when you don't have to get up for work in the morning and you can lay in for a little bit. That is the perfect thing to do. So yeah, I would definitely try and recommend doing that. Now let's talk about some time management when it comes to actual work. Now when you're working full time for someone, usually you don't have to plan too much, but maybe you might have to sort of do stuff at work. So here's some sort of tips for actually working. Now my advice is, always work slowly. Always take your time, because as soon as you start speeding up, you start getting your fight or flight responses going. You start, the adrenal response, the sympathetic dominance starts to kick in, and you start going downhill. So that's the first thing to do, is to try and take things slowly, as slow as possible. The second thing is try and work in breaks. So if you can work for 1 hour, if you can work for, work in 1 hour slots. So you work for an hour, and then if you can have a little rest, have a little rest. Sometimes if you're really ill and really sensitive, then work in 15-minute slots or 10-minute slots. You work for 10 minutes, have a 5-minute break, work for 20 minutes, have a 5-minute break, whatever. When I used to work in Thailand with Robert Morgan, I used to do like 15-minute breaks and then go and lie down and do the pulling down exercise for 10 minutes and then go and do another 10 minutes, lie down for 10 minutes, and it was definitely not ideal. And he would be out all day doing stuff, so I could sort of get away with it. But yeah, that's what I did. It worked for me when I was really, really struggling. Another thing that's a really good thing to do is write things down. You need to write everything down in lists. If you ideally write it down on paper, I use Google Keep to write my stuff down just because it integrates with everything. I'm not a massive fan of Google, but the tools are so easy to use. It integrates with Google Calendar and Gmail, and it just makes my business so much more smoother. So I write everything down in lists. Anything that comes to my mind, something I need to talk about on the YouTube channel, I have a list. Something I need to do at home, I have a list. If I'm making a new video and things are coming up in my mind throughout the day, I write that down in the list. And every day, or sometimes not every day, but especially when I'm sort of really busy, website stuff, write a list, anything else that I'm doing. And then basically what I do is, not every day but most days, is you look at your lists that you've written, and then you sort of write everything down on a piece of paper, what you need to do, or what you need to do in that day. And the stuff that you don't need to do, just leave it for another day. And then you got this long list, and then at the side of that list you write a number between 1 and 10. How important is this job to do? You know what I mean? It might just be a small job, it might be a big job, but just write, how important is it? Is it a 10? Is it really important? I've got to get it done straight away. Or is it a 2? Not that important. If I don't get it done till the end of the day, it's not too bad. If I don't get it done until tomorrow, again, it's not too bad. So write a list of that, 1 to 10, and then at the side of that, I write another list of 1 to 10 of like how much do I not want to do that job. Some jobs you just don't want to do, some jobs you do want to do, some jobs you just don't want to do. So write it down, 1 to 10. We call it Eat the Frog. It's something by a guy called Brian Tracy. If you want to check out his book, it's called Eat the Frog. It's super, super popular. It basically says if you get up in the morning and you need to eat a frog, which is just a task that you just don't want to do, when's the best time to do it? Straight away, as soon as you get up. So you got 2 columns of 1 to 10. One is how important it is. The other one is how much you don't want to do it. And then you add them up. So for some tasks, it'll be a 10 and a 10. They're really important and you really don't want to do it, and the total's 20. Some might be number 8 for importance, and number 2 for how much you want to do it, so you quite like doing it, and that would be total 10. So you get these list of totals, and basically the one with the highest number is the most important job that you need to do, and the job that you really don't want to do because you just can't be bothered to do it. And the idea is you just start with that one first and get it over and done with, and you'll generally find, because you've started with the hardest task, you get a boost, you get like an endorphin release, it makes you feel good. And you can do that job, and it gives you a boost for the day. You've got the most difficult job out of the way, and it's sort of done for the rest of the day. So that's a good tip when it comes to sort of time management. Keep stuff written down, and do the most important thing last. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for sort of time management. I mean, really when it comes to time and work, if I'm being honest, the most important thing for you to do is to try and find a job that's not taxing. To try and find a job where you can have a lay-in, and your morning is dedicated to rest and healing. And then when you get to your office in the late morning, or noon, you can have a look at the lists that you've been writing for the past day or whatever, and then you can write down what you need to do, what you don't need to do, all that sort of stuff. So if anyone's got any specific questions, then ask them now and we'll delve into that. But yeah, if you are watching this and you did find it interesting, then we do live streams most days from Monday to Friday. And if you just go to our website, www.deephealingspace.com/sign up, you'll be able to join the newsletter list and get a notification about when we're going to go live. So that's good. All right, I'm going to check out some of the questions. Let's see. Live chat. I've never done this before, it's pretty cool. Yeah, someone's talking here about children. I mean, I don't have children, and I can only imagine how difficult it is. If you send me an email, we do have a parent and children Telegram group where, the parents and children are all in there, and they talk about various different things on the program. So if you send me an email, lewis@deephealingspace.com, I'll send you the link to that group, and that's probably the best group to go into when it comes to dealing with children, sort of thing. I love to know how you time manage during the program. Do you have a set routine every day? How does it look? Yeah, I think I pretty much covered that in this video. Mainly I just sleep as long as I can, get up, drink my water, put on the sauna to heat up, do an enema, pray when I'm doing an enema. Basically there's spa routine on Dr. Wilson's website. And then do a sauna, eat my breakfast. Sometimes it's not always in that order, it just depends on a lot of different things. If it's too cold, then it takes a while for the sauna to heat up and stuff. But yeah, I would just check out Dr. Wilson's article on the morning spa routine, and that's basically the best routine to do. I pretty much do that, but as I say, sometimes it's a bit mixed up depending on what I'm doing. How many hours a day do you spend on the program, and which procedures are the hardest for you to fit in? It's a difficult question because the program for me, it's more like a lifestyle, so probably a lot of people look at my life and think that I don't really do much because I'm just sort of rested in the morning and don't wake up till sort of 10 a.m. or whatever. And so I don't know. I mean, when the program becomes your life, then most of the day is for the program. But what I would say is I do work between, say, 12 and 6. So between 12 and 6, I'm not sort of doing the program. I'm working, and obviously I have lunch in between there and take breaks. But after 6, I'm sort of like do some reflexology, but I'm mainly relaxing, which is really part of the program. It's part of the lifestyle. But at night I'll just relax, or I'll go for a walk and do the pulling down exercise, so I'll watch a film or watch Netflix with my girlfriend or read a book, So although it might not seem like I'm doing aspects of the program, I am actually doing aspects of the program at night. And then in the morning, I'm pretty much resting all morning and doing the coffee enema, doing the sauna, eating food, doing the spinal twist, etc. So yeah, it's more of a lifestyle thing. But when you're sort of working full time, you really do need a good 3 hours, I would say. A good a good 3 hours in the day, whether it's, you know, an hour before work, and then 2 hours after work, or 2 hours before work and 1 hour after work for you to do the program. But I generally find you need a good 3 hours, really, to really get all the stuff in that you need to do. I bought a largish thermos which keeps vegetables warm. Yeah, there's various different things you can get on Amazon or different websites that keeps food warm. But like I say, I kind of got fed up of that because the food didn't taste very good. I don't have to worry about that now. But as I said, if I could do, I would take an electric steamer, or, you know, even a pressure cooker if that were possible. I wake up at 5:45 and can't get back to sleep. Any tips? Yeah, usually, I mean, the best thing to do is to try and figure out why. You know, is it you're dumping a metal? Is it because you're in 4 lows? You know, is it because you've got something on your mind? Because really, if you want to deal with the fact that you're sleeping up at 5:45, you need to figure out what the cause is. But in general, if you wake up at that time, a bit of reflexology generally helps. A bit of the pulling down exercise generally helps. Taking extra paramin generally helps. But a lot of it really depends on why you're waking up. So you probably need to speak to your practitioner about that and try and figure out what it is. If it's 4 lows, for example, a lot of people wake up early in the morning because the adrenal glands basically pump out a bit of hormones, and it suddenly wakes them up. And really, it's just about focusing on the program to get you out of 4 lows. That's what's going to stop you from getting up at 5:45. But having a bit of paramin usually helps with that in 4 lows. You know, if you're struggling with sort of copper dumping or whatever, then probably something like now sunflower lecithin is going to be a big help when getting back to sleep. So really, yeah, you really need to speak to your practitioner to try and figure out what it actually is. Oh, there's quite a lot of stuff on here, hold on. I listen to sleep meditation when I wake up. Yeah, sleep meditation's good. I mean, boring podcasts as well, they're also pretty good. So yeah, some people are giving some tips on falling back to sleep. Deep breathing, yeah, that's an excellent one. Reflexology is much better than what people think as well. What helps you go to bed early? Slowing down, turning off lights, wearing sort of a blue light blocker on your glasses, having the windows open, getting some fresh air, you know, going out and having a fire in the back garden. Just trying to respect night is a good way of managing to sleep early. What else we got? Yeah, initial test and retest have been in 3 to 4 highs for 2 years now. What do you suggest to get out of it quicker? What you said about not rushing was helpful. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a 3 or 4 highs pattern, these people generally tend to be people that want to balance out their life a little bit and quite sensitive souls. They tend to be on the go quite a lot, you know. So my advice is really, it's just about trying to slow down. I know you says that my advice on slowing down in the day is helpful, but you got to slow everything down. Slow, you know, whatever you're doing. If you're working on a computer, make it slow. If you're cleaning, make it slow. You know, you might feel like a sloth sometimes, but that's really the way to do it. Is to just slow everything down. Slow down your chewing. Slow down everything. Do you go to bed at 9 and still manage to sleep until 10? I go to bed early at 9. No, I don't really sleep at 9 as much anymore. When I was really sick, I used to have to sleep at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But now usually it's around 10, 10:30. I know that's not ideal and perfect, but yeah, you know, I've got I suppose I don't really have an excuse for it, but it is challenging. I mean, I think one of the biggest things I've struggled with, and I think one of the biggest things anyone struggles with, and I've heard this from a lot of people that sort of give out health advice, is getting to bed early is really challenging, especially if you don't have anything to get up for. I mean, that's probably the downside of not really doing anything in the morning, or not really having to get up for anything, is that it's more difficult to go to bed early. So it's like, what time is it now? 6 o'clock. I'm in my camper van. I need to go and get some shopping, and then I'll be back, eat food, and then chill out with my girlfriend for an hour or two. But I just usually find myself in bed reading, catching up on emails sometimes. So it's not ideal. But at the same time, I'm in a very fortunate position because I've gone through all of the crap that you just struggle with in the beginning for me to be in a position where I sometimes can stay up a little bit later. So I think that's it. Alright guys, so yeah, thanks for watching. I know this has been probably a bit of a weird one because I've been walking around, but it's been a nice change actually. So yeah, if you've liked anything, if you've learned anything from the video, then just pop it in the comment section, because at the end of each month we give away a free hair analysis test. If you've got any questions or comments that you want to ask me that I can answer on another video, then again, just pop them in the comment section. Apart from that guys, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye for now.